Good morning, people. Amazon. Give us our flash briefing.
Jamie, here's the latest from your flash briefing. In NPR News.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Corva Coleman. Stocks are trading lower on Wall Street as the Dow is down nearly 200 points. NPR's David Gura reports this comes as Wall Street sifts through the latest earnings from companies that are seen as bellwethers.
Procter & Gamble says sales fell last quarter, and so did profits on a year-over-year basis. The maker of Tide detergent and Pampers warned Wall Street it anticipates more challenges ahead because of economic uncertainty, something that's also weighing on investors, given the latest data on inflation and retail sales, which have been mixed. Days when Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said the U.S. will hit the debt limit and the Treasury Department will have to use what are called extraordinary measures to pay the government's bills.
Extraordinary measures to pay the government's bills?
Worldwide.
Yeah,
NPR News.
You mean like
President
not
Biden
giving
goes
away
to
all the
California
money?
today to get a briefing on the state's
would be
recovery from
extraordinary.
powerful storms. At least 20 people have been killed in the past several weeks, and California's damage is estimated to hit at least $1 billion. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is in Germany. He's meeting that country's new defense minister. German official Boris Pistorius had only been sworn into office a few hours earlier. Pistorius is facing pressure to send tanks to Ukraine to help that country fight Russian forces. Britain has already promised to send tanks to Ukraine. The head of the United Nations Nuclear Watchdog Agency says that experts are now in place in all of Ukraine's nuclear power plants. Rafael Mariano
Nazi
Grossi says he
soldiers of
thinks
the
the
Ukraine
experts will
army,
stay
or
in
what?
place for quite a while as
We don't need
Russia's
no tanks
invasion
over
of
there.
Ukraine drags on.
We believe that in the current circumstances there is a need of a rather prolonged presence here because of the challenges of the situation for as long as the war continues.
The International Atomic Energy Agency has already installed experts at the disputed Zaporizhzhia nuclear power facility. That's been hit repeatedly as Russian forces battled Ukrainian troops. Campbell Soup is making room for its snack food business at its world headquarters in Camden, New Jersey.
That's
From
newsworthy.
member station WHYY, Kenneth Burns reports the company will consolidate offices from 2 other states.
Campbell's snack division owns
How
such
the heck
brands
is
as
that
Snyder's
newsworthy?
of Hanover and Pepper Ridge Farms.
Campbell
Such
Soup's
division
getting
is
new
currently
offices
split
in
between
the
New
headquarters.
Jersey, Connecticut, and North
Who
Carolina.
cares?
The more than 1,600
Campbell's
jobs
doing
being
it.
transferred are corporate functions like marketing and human resources. Campbell's president and CEO Mark Klaus says he hopes eligible employees take advantage of the relocation package.
We're excited about this and certainly trying to be as enticing as we can to bring our folks from those locations to our new office.
Employees will start transferring later this year. Construction on new space begins in March. For NPR News,
This
I'm
just
Kenneth
in,
Burns.
the other
On Wall Street,
corporation
the Dow's
got
down about
headquarters, this
200
corporation got
points.
headquarters, that
This is
corporation,
NPR.
Starbucks, everything.
The State Department has launched a new
Jesus, who
program
cares?
that allows private American
Only
citizens
them
to
that are
help
getting the money
refugees
for it
get
and
used to
their
life in the
corporation
U.S.
care.
The program is called the Welcome Corps. The State Department hopes to enroll up to 10,000 Americans to help about 5,000 refugees resettle. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern says she is stepping down early next month. She's been in the position for more than 5 years. Ardern has led New Zealand through crises such as the pandemic and the mosque shootings in Christchurch. Taiwan's cabinet is resigning
Well, 5
en
years, a
masse.
good run.
This follows their party's defeat in Taiwan's local
Everyone's
elections
stepping down
last
after 5
November.
years.
Ashish Valentine reports
I
from
don't know.
Taipei.
Premier Su Tseng-chang said he already offered to resign once, right after the last election. The ruling
Offered to
Democratic
resign? Come
Progressive
on, you either
Party,
resign
which
or you don't,
supports
bro.
Taiwanese
This is
sovereignty,
awful.
last year lost to the more China-friendly opposition party, the Kuomintang. But President Tsai Ing-wen had urged Su to stay on longer. Now, with next year's budget approved, the premier says it's finally time to go. President Tsai must now name a new cabinet, which will take office until the next general election in just over a year. For NPR
Only a
News,
year.
I'm Ashish Valentine in Taipei.
A lawyer for the man
How
who
much
killed
time to
George
prove yourself?
Floyd is asking a Minnesota appeals court to overturn his 3 state convictions. Derek Chauvin's attorney argues legal and procedural errors blocked Chauvin from getting a fair trial. Lawyers for the state of Minnesota disagreed, saying Chauvin did receive a fair trial. He is serving more than 22 years in prison. I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News.
How is it legally?
Sometimes politics can feel like just a lot of noise. But the
blocked?
decisions made by leaders in this country affect you. Stay on top of how changing policies, breaking news, and new rulings affect your life. Every weekday on the NPR
Amazon.
Politics Podcast.
Skip. Tired of the commercials.
In NASA news,
Oh, we get NASA
a
today.
pair of news conferences on Wednesday, January 25th at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston will highlight the agency's SpaceX Crew 6 mission to the International Space Station in February.
Is that it?
The mission is NASA's sixth crew rotation flight involving a
is
U.S.
it?
commercial spacecraft carrying crew for a science expedition aboard the microgravity Labrador.
Okay.
NASA announced
you say
Wednesday it has issued an award to the Boeing company for the agency's Sustainable
NASA's
Flight
been around how
Demonstrator
long? But it's
project,
only their
which
sixth
seeks
mission.
to inform a potential new generation of green single-aisle airliners. During an event hosted by NASA Administrator Bill Nelson and Deputy Administrator Pam Melroy at the agency's headquarters in Washington Friday, representatives from the United States and Japan gathered to sign an agreement that builds on a long history of collaboration in space exploration between the two nations.
How long in history? 6 years?
2 astronauts on the International Space Station will conduct a spacewalk Friday, January 20th, to install hardware for future power system upgrades.
It's not a spacewalk. It's a job.
NASA has selected Sean Quinn as manager of the Exploration Ground Systems program based at the agency's
Not out
Kennedy
there
Space Center
recreationally.
in Florida, effective
They're working.
Sunday, January 15th.
They're doing their job.
Currently, in Seattle, it's
spacewalk.
37 degrees
They call it
Fahrenheit
working.
with clear skies. Today, you can expect cloudy skies, with a high of 44 degrees and a low of 38 degrees. From NASA, a pair of news conferences on Wednesday, January
News
25th
conferences.
at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston will
Is that
highlight
what
the
it is?
agency's
News conference?
SpaceX Crew 6 mission to the International Space Station in February. The mission is NASA's sixth crew rotation flight involving a U.S. commercial spacecraft carrying crew for a science expedition aboard the microgravity Labrador.
With the sixth manned crew mission.
NASA announced
All these
Wednesday it
years.
has issued an award to
I
the
don't know
Boeing
that I
company
believe
for the agency's Sustainable Flight Demonstrator project, which seeks to inform a potential new generation of green single-aisle airliners. During an event hosted by NASA Administrator Bill Nelson and Deputy Administrator Pam Melroy at the agency's headquarters in Washington Friday, representatives from the United States and Japan gathered to sign an agreement that builds on a long history of collaboration in space exploration between the two nations. 2 astronauts on the International Space Station will conduct a spacewalk Friday, January 20th, to install
You mean
hardware for future
they'll
power
go to
system
work?
upgrades.
Installing modules for
NASA has
system
selected
upgrades.
Sean Quinn as manager of the Exploration Ground Systems program based at the agency's Kennedy Space Center in Florida, effective Sunday, January 15th. That's all for your flash briefing.
Amazon. Tell me the weather in Kenmore, Washington.
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Or you going about to get sure. Amazon. What's the weather in Kenmore, Washington?
Right now in Washington County, Texas, it's
No.
60 degrees Fahrenheit
Amazon.
with clear sky.
What's the weather in Kenmore, Washington?
Currently, in Kenmore,
There you
Washington,
go.
it's 35 degrees Fahrenheit with mostly cloudy skies. Today, you can expect cloudy skies, with a high of 44 degrees and a
Just
low of
clouds,
35 degrees.
Alright. Amazon, tell us a joke.
How do lumberjacks work from home? They log in.
You think so? Well, you're probably right. You probably got shot for that. Okay, everyone, have a great, wonderful day wherever you are. Stay healthy, stay alive. All those that are in need, healing vibrations.